is Favor Odaba, and I'll be taking over for the Youth Corner. We're still on the topic of Moses. Um, Youth YASM. Wow. So we'll be looking at some verses from Exodus chapter 5 to 15 and picking up some points from there. So chapter 5 to 15 talks about the plague that was sent from God through Moses to the Egyptians through Moses from God. I will be summarizing the plague. The first plague was Moses casting his stick down and it turned into a snake and swallowed the magician snakes. The second was the water turning into blood. The third was the border being stormed with frogs. The fourth was dust turning into growth and covering the animals and the Egyptians. The fifth was storms of flies into the land. The sixth is the death of the stalks. The seventh was the breakouts of painful boils of the Egyptians and animals. The eighth was storms of hills with fire, destroying crops and livestock. The ninth was locusts destroying the food remain. The 10th was a thick darkness covering Egypt for 3 days, but the Israelites had light. The 8th was the death of the firstborn of the land and the death of Pharaoh's first child. So if you look at Exodus 5, chapter 5, verses 12, and I'll read. And it says, "And they said to them, 'The Lord looked on you and judged, because you had made us sink in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, and he had put a sword in his hand to kill us.'" That's Exodus 5, verses 21. So my point from that verse is the Israelite was so accustomed to their suffering that they begged their enemy for an easier way to suffer. As humans, we often do the same. We rely on our comfort zone, and it's hard for us to get out of it because we've stayed in that suffering for too long. And God is trying to lead us out of that place, and we resist because it's grown in us. But that's not the plan of God in our life. Um, as you read through Exodus, I love how God was very intentional with the children of Israel. They did not have to know him. They didn't have faith in him. They didn't really choose God that much, but he still chose them with love. He still lead them with love. He showed them all the instructions they need with love. Uh, my other point is a question. So, question is, why are we so attached, and why do we hold on to things that kill us? It's a personal question we could ask ourselves. We all know what personally we are holding on to that we need to let go of, and God is telling us to let go of. And it's just like the children of the Israelites. They're so afraid of letting go that they beg. In fact, they told Moses, "Why are you leading us out of the hand of Pharaoh? Like, he's going to make the suffering harder for us." Instead of looking at the bright side of where they're going, some of us, we hold tight to what's killing us inside. And if you look at Exodus 14, verses 11 to 12, and it says, "They said to Moses, 'Is it because there are no grave in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us in bringing us out of Egypt? The Lord will fight for you, and you will have only to be silenced.'" This is the same Israelites that God has shown them the different plagues. He has proved to them that He's God. He has proved to, when the darkness came upon them, He had light for them. There's evidence that God is real in their life, but they're so used to that situation. They're so used to that suffering that they rely on it. Verses 12 says, "Is not this what you said to you in Egypt? Leave us alone that we may serve the Egyptians." I hope God help us to not rely on our suffering. I hope that He help us not to turn back away from Him. I hope that God help us not to get to the point in life where we do say, "Oh, nah, I do not want to go that way. I I want to stay in my suffering, and I hope He won't let us go through that way. For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. My point from this is sometimes the reason we're so attached to the things that kill us is because we have been in that situation for a long time, and God is calling us to get out of it. Exodus 15, to the end of the chapter, is the Israelites coming out of the hand of the enemy into freedom and finally realizing the God they serve. So, this should tell us to trust in God even in hard times, even times where we feel like it's too dark, even moments where it looked like it's been too long. Where is God? Because I'm definitely sure the Israelites did ask, where is God? But God did show up, and He lead them